If you want to support the channel, then please check out my Patreon page to gain access to exclusive videos, take part in Q&As, and watch my retrospectives before they go live on YouTube. Just recently, Studio Canal put out a new 4K remaster of the 1980 classic Flash Gordon, a firm favourite amongst fans of science fiction and fantasy. Its over-the-top style, campy performances, memorable music from Queen, and the highly quotable lines shouted by Brian Blessed has cemented it into pop culture. And it still has a strong following to this day. At the time, the movie was very successful in Europe, especially in the UK. It didn't quite make the impact it was supposed to in the USA, with Sam Jones and his agent falling out with producer Dino De Laurentiis. Sam didn't return to Loopy's lines in post-production and take part in additional reshoots. They decided to dub him over, resulting in his career being affected, but also he didn't get involved in the marketing, resulting in no appearances on TV to promote it, which didn't help with confidence in the picture stateside. There was a lack of merchandise, nothing on the scale of Star Wars or even Superman, so the opportunity to take advantage of Flash Gordon was missed. Reviews were mostly positive, as some critics understood its direction and loved the visuals, and some others found it ridiculous and very silly. Flash Gordon is no stranger to DVD and Blu-ray, with it being released a number of times on the formats over the years. This is the first time some care and attention has been given to it, with this new remaster getting a theatrical re-release to celebrate its 40th anniversary. In the UK, there was a 5-disc set and a 3-disc version, which I could only find on Zavvi. You can also get the standard Blu-ray as a single disc release, if you don't want to spend the extra money or don't have a 4K player. In the USA, the film was released by Arrow as a single disc edition or a 2-disc version, which includes the 4K Blu-ray. So this 5-disc version appears to be only a European exclusive. So what do you get with this fancy new box set? You do get a few items with it: a mini reversible poster that has the original UK quad design, and on the other side the new poster produced by talented artist Matt Ferguson, a sew-on patch, some postcards, a reprint of a Flash Gordon comic from the 30s, and 2 booklets, one dedicated to images and the press photos from the film, and the other contains an interview with the director Mike Hodges and additional production notes. So with the discs, 4 are Blu-rays and 1 is the Queen soundtrack. Disc 1 is the 4K disc, Disc 2 is the regular Blu-ray, which has the same remaster, so don't think Studio Canal just slapped on the old transfer. In the set, both have the same extras included, including a commentary by the director and the other by Brian Blessed, which is one of the finest commentary tracks ever produced, and you also get some interviews. This material is ported over from a previous release. There is also the original 1980 featurette, which I've never seen before, which was cool to see. The most interesting piece of the new extras are interviews for a 30-minute documentary on the original concept for Nick Rogue's version of Flash Gordon. He worked on this production before he was replaced by director Mike Hodges. This contains interviews with the writer Michael Allen, costume designer John Bloomfield, and FX wizard John Richardson, who are both part of Nick's original production team. They discuss conflicts between Dino and Nick's vision for the film. It's fascinating stuff, as Nick's version would have taken on a more serious direction. The 3rd disc is dedicated to the extra features, such as 2 episodes of the Filmation cartoon, which ran from 1979 to 1982, which I never saw as a kid, so it's only for the older fans who enjoyed the show growing up. There are a series of short interviews with cast and crew taken from their Life After Flash documentary. That's on the 4th disc. A discussion on the merchandise released for the film in 1980, an interview with a fan who collects props from the movie, and footage of the interviews recorded for the 35th anniversary screening. Disc 4 is the recent documentary on Sam Jones called Life After Flash, which is a really enjoyable documentary which starts out as a retrospective on the film, with interviews with the cast and crew discussing its production. Then it shifts to largely focus on Sam Jones and his career after Flash Gordon, revealing the problems of his youth and the drama in his life after the film. It's certainly recommended viewing. So what is the 4K picture like? The picture quality is certainly a big improvement over the previous release on Blu-ray, which exhibited a very washed out transfer. A lot of the actors appeared very pale. This could have been a result of the large amount of blue screen optical work. However, the scenes on Mongo always looked spectacular, but with this new transfer it pops off the screen, especially in Dolby Vision, and the overall picture has a stronger level of detail and grain. Thankfully the skin tones are far more naturally balanced. The film always had a soft glow to it, like the cameraman has put tights on the lens, so despite its softness in areas, it still looks pin sharp like you're watching a 35mm print. In the booklet that comes with the box set, it discusses the restoration process, removing dirt and repairing some damaged elements, and erasing the wires that were visible on the Hawkmen, for example. But to my surprise, a lot of the errors in the optical effects are more visible than ever due to the 4K upgrade. Seeing the wires has never really been a problem for me, as I only noticed it on Ming's flying security drone, but these obvious glaring opticals could have been easily removed. They are not supposed to be there for a start. The most blatant shot is the approach of the spaceship charging towards Ming's palace. There is a clear transparent optical square in frame. There are a number of other shots that do exhibit these kinds of problems. I just wish some extra care and attention could have been made in these areas to just erase these issues. The visual effects, especially the miniatures, are purposely done to look retro. I would never want them to change any of that, but removing some of the visible optical mattes could have given it a more finesse presentation. Other films from this period have gone through extensive remasters, and cleaning up optical effects is a common thing, and it's a shame Flash Gordon didn't have the extra attention paid to it in this area. The Blu-ray comes with the previous 5.1 DTS mix, which I always felt was a bit underwhelming, with the dialogue so fixed into the centre speaker. Even some of Howard Blake's score is lumped into that channel in some scenes. You end up with a very thin and mono sound in areas, like it's lacking volume and bass, and the audio levels are all over the place. It's also mentioned in the book that the sound was cleaned up, and this was done for the original Dolby Stereo mix, which is presented in DTS 2.0, which is a delight to hear. Strong dialogue and a clearer use of surround sound channels, appearing to one's ear more impressive than the discrete 5.1 mix. It's always nice to have the original mix presented and uncompressed, and for the time the mixing was very impressive and still holds up well today, despite the heavy use of ADR. If you are a big fan of Flash Gordon and you have the money, then get hold of the 5-disc set. The care and attention to the packaging is top notch. At the cost of £50 however, it is a bit pricey, and honestly the extras are a bit lightweight. When they are throwing in episodes of the cartoon and footage of the 35th anniversary screening, which you can find on YouTube, it becomes apparent they were struggling to fill the discs up with content. It would have been nice to have some new interviews dedicated to the visual effects, with a film historian or critic discussing the film's legacy, or a breakdown of the remastering process perhaps. For hardcore fans of the film, you will already own the soundtrack, so it may be wise to spend less and get the 3-disc version. Studio Canal have really been upping their game with their new 4K back catalogue releases. The Rambo films, Cliffhanger, John Carpenter's classics such as They Live and Escape from New York, and the more recent release of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Their transfers have for the most part been very impressive, putting some of the other big studios to shame. I reviewed Flash Gordon years ago on my channel, and it's still something I want to return to in future and cover more extensively. I still love this film. Everything about it is a joy to watch. It's hard not to like Flash Gordon. It's a movie you can enjoy even for the wrong reasons. The bonkers set design, flashy colours, comic performances and thunderous score by Howard Blake and Queen make it a treat to watch. It's a huge shame they don't make films like this anymore.
Remove the Earthwoman. Prepare her for our pleasure. Forget it, Ming. Dale's with me.
Flash, I love you! But we only have 14 hours to save the Earth.
Gordon's alive.